Hello students, welcome to MBA360. Every year about 5 lakh students join B schools or MBA programs around the country in about 4,500 colleges. And these 5 lakh students believe that MBA is a passport to get a good job. Every time they are always shown the big packages that B school students are getting, possibly in IIMs, and they also keep showing some of the B school placements that are happening, which are actually a lie in their own campuses also in some of these Tier 2 and Tier 3 B schools. So what we've done is since last year, we actually announced a white paper of the placements that happen at B schools across the country. And for this, we rely a lot on the data that they submit to the government of India, because somewhere or the other, they need to keep submitting data of the number of students that they actually admit, the number of students which graduate, and the kind of placement that happen in B schools around the country. This year, what we could do is to get data only on 627 of the 4,500 B schools that you have in the country. Just remember, what we have is less than 15% of the B schools that we have in the country for which we have data, which also means that the other 3,800 B schools don't have anything to show, that they don't even want to reply to anything else. Because many of these people are universities that added a B school, and it keeps going on and on. Let me first jump to the data, and then I'll come back to you on what the larger issue is. So what we're talking about is the white paper on the B school placements in the country. Now, while we're doing that, if you want, Career360 has been compiling a lot of information to help you crack the CAT examination. You want the past 10 years CAT question papers, or the year-wise, chapter-wise weightage with practice questions, vocabulary builder, most scoring concepts and all. Send us a message MBA on this number, which is 8130376334, and we'll actually have these question papers sent to you on WhatsApp. The other thing is, we also partnered this time with Career Launcher, because we understand that you need proper practice and mock tests and all those things. So we are actually working with Career Launcher to create, deliver mock tests to you. For that, and these are all free, by the way, send us a message 81303 on 376334. Send us a message CL, and we'll actually have a Career Launcher counselor call you up and to get you registered. So the message you will send is CL. Now let's come to the placement. I told you that at Career360 we are always working on ensuring that you take the right decision. The most important decision to be the right decision, and this is very, very important for all of you. So what we've done is we compile all the data that's out there for all the B schools in the country, if it is there. And let me show you what we're talking of. Let's talk of placements with IIMs. And there are 22 IIMs, for which we got the data for 20 IIMs that were filed in March 2026 with the government of India, for the purpose of the ranking of NIRF, which means the data would be slightly 6 months, 8 months earlier and not later. But by the way, remember, increasing the placement is becoming only difficult and not easy. So what you will see is not much of a change in the placement overall numbers. If at all, if there is any change, it will be only lesser and not more. Let me show you what the data is showing at this point in time. And we're talking of 20 IIMs, and the data is here up to 25. And this complete data, mind you. The 26 data is not there, but this complete data. In the year 22-23, you actually had an intake of 7,320, which moved to 7,827 in 23-24 and moved to 8,548 in 24-25, which means the B schools would have started a few new programs and those kind of things would have happened. The number of students you admitted is 7,343 here, slightly more than what the intake is, because there might have been some lateral recruitment that happened, lateral admissions. Out of 7,827, 7,755 seats were filled. Here, 8,548, 8,551 students were admitted. The number of students who graduated is 7,180 here, 7,566 here, and 8,379 here from 8,551. So almost 97-98% students were admitted. Now look at placed of this 8,379, and this is the latest data. Now I'm focusing on the latest data. Of this 8,379 students who were graduated, admitted is 8,551, graduated is 8,379. Of this 8,379 students who graduated, 8,283 students were placed. That's a very good number, because that placement number, if you look at from graduation, the placement percentage is 99.41%, because 47 students also moved for higher education. So 8,379 minus 47 is what you do to calculate this percentage of 8,283, and it comes to 99.41%. Now, if you look at it as placement percentage against graduated, which means we actually say, okay, this 8,283 and this is the number of students graduated, it becomes 98.85%. And if you actually say placement percentage against admitted, which is 8,551, then it becomes 96.87%. So everything is about 97-98%, which is very, very good. It's close to 100% is what you will see. And the median salary, which was 21.33 lakhs 2 years back, fell to 20.6 lakh last year and is now at 21.02. So basically, we are dealing with about 21 lakh being the median salary, 20 to 21 lakhs being the median salary approximately. How they calculate the median salary, again, we all know that there might be some kind of an inflation there because of the perks and everything, but still you're dealing with about 16 to 20 lakh rupees kind of a salary is what you're dealing with, but here the median salary is 21 lakh rupees. Now this for IIMs. Then what we did was we said, okay, beyond the IIMs, let us look at the top 100 B schools in the country. So now what we come to is top 100 B schools in the country minus the IIMs. If you remove the 20 IIMs that we have data, remember we have 22 IIMs in the country, but we have data for 20 IIMs only. So from the top 100, if you remove those 22 IIMs and then start talking of the other institutions, again here also we obviously had not all data, we only had limited amount of data. Let me actually go back to you on the IIMs also for a moment. This is the data that we have. I'll show you the data that we have at this point in time. Now, this is the 20 IIMs for which we have data. So now let's look at the salary and everything for the 20 IIMs for which we have data, right? We're starting from this IIM Ahmedabad, which has 455 students in the intake. We actually have 450 students who were admitted, 453 graduated, 444 were placed at a median salary of 33 lakh rupees, right? 33 lakh rupees is the median salary. And same thing with Bangalore, 32.61 lakh median salary. Kozhikode is 27.5 lakh. Lucknow is 31 lakh. Mumbai is 34 lakhs. And Calcutta is 35 lakhs. So Calcutta seems to be the highest in terms of median salary. And the place of the 542 students, 521 graduated, 516 were placed. Which means 21 students didn't even graduate. And going on and on. You also have 12.12 lakh here for Bodh Gaya. Bodh Gaya has 12.12 lakh. Similarly, for IIM Amritsar has 12.29 lakh. And the thing, if you notice very carefully, is 318 graduated, only 310 were placed, and 12.29 lakh is the median salary. Similarly, here also, you actually have 438 graduated, 430 were placed, and 12.12 lakh. So you also have this data, this granular data. So while we're talking of IIMs, just remember that there's a great possibility that you can always talk of 21 lakh, but you also have people who really underperform, which is 12 lakh and 14 lakhs. You have quite a few here, like this 14.46 lakh. This is IIM Kashipur. This Kashipur and 14.46 lakh. These IIMs. Now let us go to the next one, which is we go back to the presentation that we're talking about. Beyond the IIMs, the other 80 B schools that you have, what we are doing now is we're taking up the top 100 B schools based on the NIRF ranking, the Government of India ranking, and we're only analyzing that first of all before we go to the next level. So the next one is of the 100 minus the IIMs. This is the data. For 24-25, when you look at it, the total intake across these other 80 institutions is about 25,362. By the way, when I say 80, there might be a few B schools for which we don't have data. So it might be about 75 and all. We'll get back to that when I show you the sheet, right? 25,362. Admitted is 24,765. Graduate is 24,006. Place is 22,398. Higher studies is 517. The placement percentage, as they claim, is 95.36%. The placement percentage against graduated, so graduated is 24,006 and placed is 22,398, is 93.3%. And the placement against admitted, which is 24,765, is 90.44%. And the median salary is 12.21 lakh. And if you look at it, it's 11.8 lakh, 11.86 and 12.2. So growth has been very marginal, about 1-2%. The same thing happened in IIMs also. The same thing is happening in the other 78 80 B schools for which we have data. Again, let me remind you, we took out the top 100 B schools and now are analyzing that. I'll also come to the other 500, 600 B schools for which we have data in the next slide. Now, if I look at it here, right, if you look at this whole thing here and if you see the sheet here, now this is the other 80 B schools that we have beyond the IIMs, which are ranked in the top 100 based on NIRF. Now, if you look at this data again, of course, IIT Delhi and all are public institutions, and they have a 22.50 lakh median salary. But when you look at data very closely, 158 students were admitted, 154 graduated, 145 were placed. MDI Gurgaon, 578 were admitted, 575 were placed at 25 lakh rupees. XLR Jamshedpur, 410 admitted, 410 graduated, and all the 410 were placed. And so on and so forth. You have 24 lakh, 22.75, all those things. Like this is 25.2. Again, all the IITs here also do a very good job. If you see these IIT, these MDI, these XLR, Symbiosis, then you have IIT, 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 IIT. Then you have SPJMR also, which would be very high at 30 lakh rupees, right? And then you have SPJMR, Institute of Technology, IIT Roorkee again comes in here. Narsi Monji comes in here. then Amrita and IIT Kanpur and everything, right? Now, what you should know is this. While we're talking about the top 100 institutions, here also you actually have a serious problem in terms of how the data is moving in. Now, if you keep going down here, right, and keep looking at the data of the bottom in the top 100, you also have a situation where, for example, you take IIT Jodhpur for a moment, the intake is 120, 124 were admitted, 106 graduated, 18 were placed, and 16 moved for higher education. Now, that for me is rarity because in B schools, not many people move to higher education. But the more important thing that I want you to understand is within this thing also, you actually have a 5 lakh also in the top 500. You have 6 lakh also in the top 500. And this is Atal Bihari Institute of Indian Institute of Information Technology and Management. The median salary is 6 lakh here, right? And by the way, more importantly, 50 was the sanctioned intake, only 28 were admitted, 27 graduated, only 17 were placed. These their own data. I'm talking of this one, which is Atal Bihari Vajpayee Institute, Indian Institute of this IIIT in Gwalior, if I'm not wrong. Right. Then you have 5 lakhs also. This is Anna University. 100 was the intake, only 84 were admitted, 77 graduated, 55 were placed, and which means the placement percentage is 71% only because 55 on 77, and the median salary is 5 lakh. Same thing that's happening is even in the top 100, while you're talking of an average which is very high, about 12 lakh rupees, you actually see 5 lakh, 6 lakh, this 6.5 lakh, this Cochin University, 6.5 lakh again here. So you actually see this number 7.5 lakh here, 7.7 lakh here. So you actually see quite a bit of, even in the top 100, people earning a median salary of 6 lakh, 7 lakh, 5 lakh and all, right? When you actually in an institute have a median salary of, for example, this one, which is 6 lakh rupees, then there will be a lot of people below the 6 lakh also because median is right in the middle, mind you. So just imagine the salary might actually go down to 4 lakh rupees also. And we are talking about the top 100 B schools in the country, right? And the placement percentage also is very different. Now, if I were to just go back to the presentation that we had, right, what we're talking of in the top 100 B schools, despite the fact that all the IIT departments of management are there and DOMs are all there, you still are dealing with about 90% placement, but median salary is 12.21 lakh. But most importantly, at the bottom of the 100, if you see, there will be a lot of people with 6 lakh, 7 lakh, 8 lakh, 7.5 lakh kind of a median salary, which means there's a possibility, theoretical possibility, that at the bottom of the pyramid, you'll actually have students getting 4-5 lakh rupees also as salary. And that's a fact that you must be prepared for. If you get into the better B schools at the top of the bunch, it is fine. But when you keep coming down the bottom of the ladder, you will get into a different problem altogether in terms of the kind of placements that you have, because it's dealing with 6 lakh, 7 lakh, 5 lakh and all those kind of numbers are also a possibility. Now, this is up to the top 100 only. Now the real story starts. Remember, I told you about 4,500 colleges and 5 lakh students. What we've dealt with till now is, here we're dealing with 25,000 students, there we're dealing with about 7,500 students. So till now we're dealing with about 32,000 only of the 5 lakh numbers who actually get into a B school, get into an MBA. Now let's talk of the other numbers. The total data that we have is for only 627 B schools. Only 627 B schools we could actually gather data because they actually submitted some kind of a data to the government of India from where we can extract and deal with that. So the other 527, which is beyond the 100, you dealt with 20 IIMs and 80 of the other institutions. Then we look at the other ones. You actually have 84,076 being the total intake, of which the actual admitted is 73,000 only, which means the total admission percentage itself is about 13-14% lesser, which means they could not even admit 13-14% students, right? Because 74 on 84 is what we're dealing with at this point in time, right? So about the total, admitted percentage of only 87% of the sanctioned intake. From here you come down, this is 87%, remember? Now, from here you come down to the actual graduated, it's only 65,000. Now, when you deal with 65,000, then we're dealing with suddenly 80% only are, if you look at 84,000 and 65,000, only 80% actually are graduating. Of this 65,000, only 49,200 are placed. Now you come down to another different percentage. We'll talk of the percentage as we move along, and that is about 66.52%. And the number of students who are moving for higher studies, as you keep moving down the ladder in terms of the B schools not being strong in its own entity, students will be forced to move for higher education. So here's 2,030 students move for higher education. If you get into IIMs, about 40 students only move to higher education across the board. If I have to go by the same proportion, 40 over 8,000, then they should be about 400 over 85,000, right? But here 2,030 students moved for higher education, which essentially means that they could not get placement. So they didn't have an option but to say, I'm moving for higher education. And then when you deal with that number, the placement percentage, what they claim is 76.95%. The placement against graduated is 74.58%. These are graduated and this placement. And the placement against admitted, these 73,963, is 66.52%. And the median salary is 4.84 lakh across the 527 institutions. Again, here also there will be a lot of outliers. And I'll show you that through this data, because you need to understand that as you keep moving down the ladder, what was 20 lakh, 21 lakh in the top IIMs came down to 11, 12 lakh rupees in the other 80 B schools. Now it's come down to 4.84 lakhs in the rest of the B school for which we have data. There are about 3,000, about 3,500 colleges for which we don't even have data, which means they don't have any respectable data for them to submit. Now, if you look at this particular 527 B schools and try to understand how they're working, and let's look at that. And this is again the data that we compiled. By the way, we have data for all the 3 years, but I'm just showing the 1 year data so that there is some kind of a understanding of the whole thing. It also starts with 17 lakhs at IEM, which is in Calcutta. IMT University Meerut is 15.6 per lakh. Now, I want to understand how this whole thing works, but that's what the data is at this point in time. NIA is 12.5 lakh. This is a very good institution, by the way. NIA is very big, good institution. This is very good. NIBM is very good. LBSM is very good. Fostima is decent. OP Jindal is out there, and so on and so forth, right? But when you keep going down the ladder, in terms of, this has been sorted based on the median salary, I think, right? And you keep going down, and the placement percentage also is decent here. When you keep going down the ladder, you actually suddenly start seeing 53% placement, 43% placement. Which one is this? The Aryabhatta College of Management in Ajmer has a 60 students is the admitted take, only 27 are admitted, which means 33 students did not even admit themselves into the college, 23 graduated, 10 were placed, and 43% placement, right? And you keep going down, further going down, you see 7 lakh, 6 were. And when you keep going down the ladder, let's go to the bottommost thing. So at 300 rank, we are dealing with 4 lakh being the median salary, 4.2 lakh, 4 lakh, 3 lakh 60,000, 3 lakh, 2.7 lakhs. Now you talk about median salary, but just imagine, for example, if someone's median salary is 2.5 lakh, what is the lowest salary? That's a median salary, 2.5 lakh. And that too, when I talk about it, let's take this number for a moment. This is Rai University in Ahmedabad, where 180 students actually admitted, sanctioned intake, 157 are admitted, 127 graduated, only 11 were placed. Just look at this data, it is shocking, right? Let's look at Rai University. 180 was the sanctioned intake, 157 were admitted, 127 were graduated, only 11 were placed at a median salary of 2.5 lakh, and 15 more for higher education. The placement percentage is 10%. Now, why do you want to do an MBA there, right? And I can keep going on and on. Let's move further down. You also have 2.3 lakh median salary, 1.5 lakh median salary. When you have a median salary of 1.5 lakh, or in my opinion, these people have because 50,000 is not possible. You can't pay 4,000 per month in this country. But you actually have this being the median salary across the thing. Like Sri Visvesvaraya Institute of Technology, Nashik, has 60 intake, 50 were admitted, 19 graduated, which means about 31 students did not even graduate, and only 12 were placed. 1.56 lakh is the median salary and 63% placement. Now, what is the use of this kind of a B school? And my challenge here is this, I'm showing you all this data so that you understand where we stand. And this is data of 84,076 students, of which 73 were admitted, 65 graduated, 49,200 were placed, 4.84 being the median salary, because in top you actually have 15 lakh, 20 lakhs and all those people still sitting there. But when you keep coming down, a lot of B schools are placing the students' median salary being 2 lakh, 2.5 lakh, 3 lakh and all, a lot of number. And that is of those B schools which could still talk about their placements. There are 3,500 B schools which don't even talk about their placements. And that is where the big challenge is for you. Because what we're trying to do here is to demolish this belief that a B school is a passport to a good job. And the job will get you about 10 lakh, 15 lakh, 20 lakh, or a higher salary of 1 crore also, which is what, when you go to Noida and when you go to all these big hoardings that you have, you actually see pictures of students getting 1 crore package and all. There is a blatant outlier lie. They're all lies. This is data that I'm showing you because this was signed on an affidavit and filed with the government of India. And what I'm showing you is a white paper on the kind of placements that you have in this country. And those placements is what you're dealing with. Unless you're getting into a decent B school, a good B school, which has some kind of a pedigree, some kind of a legacy, you're not likely to get placement. An MBA doesn't get you a job. Increasingly, a generic MBA in tier 2, tier 3 B schools would not get you a job. That's because you need some kind of a depth. Shallow knowledge will not work. Width is very, very cheap. Depth is at premium. And that you need to understand. And the reason why I'm showing all this data to you is so that you understand that certain things that you actually have been sold through the newspapers, through all the ads that you see in the digital platforms and all lies out there. Are all lies out there, because this is the data that I'm showing you, which essentially tells you that the placements is something that you should be extremely careful about. The top IIMs, for sure, you will actually have some kind of a reasonable certainty. Top 100, you'll have some kind of reasonable certainty, but don't go by the highest salary that they talk of. Start talking of median salary. And the median salary in the top 100 also comes down to 6 lakhs, 7.5 lakhs also, which means the lowest salary can be 3 lakh, 4 lakh. And then move further to beyond the top 100. You can go up to top 200, 250 and you'll still be okay. But beyond that, when you start looking at numbers, your median salary falls down to 3 lakh, 2.5 lakh and all, which is the kind of salary that you will pay to a blue-collared worker also. And what you're seeking is a white-collar job because you are an MBA. And that is where the disparity comes in. And that is only of those 15% B schools for which you have data. The other 85% don't even have data, which means that they're good for nothing and their MBA is not likely to get you or be a passport for you to get a job. What you're getting is a credential. Most of these B schools today survive because they have a license to grant a degree, not because they actually deliver a student outcome. And that is something that I want you to understand. That's the reason why we always, every year, we publish this white paper of the placements at B schools. And this, my friends, is a white paper on the placement and B schools. If you need any help from us, write to us in the message box. I will be happy to work on that. And if you want any of these mock tests, send us a message, MBA, on this number, which is 8130376334. I'll be happy to cover that for you. We'll send that, these question papers over to you. If you want to take the Career Launcher mock tests, send us a message CL on the same number, and we'll have the CL people contacting you, Career Launcher people contacting you and delivering you the mock tests also. Because there are mock tests in real life situation that you actually go to a center and take those tests, and it's very important for you to go through that process also if you want to get into a good B school. I hope this helps you. If you need any help from us, please write to us in the message box here. I'll be happy to cover that for you. Thank you so much. Namaste.